Hello there, survivors, and welcome back to another live stream here in ARK Survival Ascended on Lost Colony. Today we are back here at the big Gothic tower that is on the map. It's very hard to miss this spot, honestly. It's on the side of a mountain. You can see it for miles. You can see it from pretty much everywhere on the map. And yesterday we started rebuilding this into a proper Gothic Outpost base. We made the entire crafting and storage hall, or at least it's what we decided later on is going to be the crafting and storage hall. I actually added a bunch of utilities, so you can already see the transmitter that I placed here on the balcony, but I actually added the utilities inside of the main hall. And we also started the work here on the side where we're going to build all the way up to the top so that we can actually have a connection between the bottom layers and the top layers, hopefully. So yeah, that should be pretty exciting. We still have some work to do, of course. We still need to make some kind of nice entrance here on this side. And we need to decide what we do on the other side there. I don't think we'll build it all the way up to the top. We'll probably do something a little bit different there, but that is for us to figure out today. So, hello there. Welcome in. Welcome in. Yeah, let's see what we did last time before we get to building more this time. So let's get out of the photo mode and let's take a look. Let's actually depower this because I mean it's just going to be a big blue beam through our entire build. So yeah, last time we mostly worked on this this crafting hall. Wait, why is it still showing up? It's not even on. This thing just bugged now. Let's just remove it. Let's just remove it. Let's just get rid of it because I don't know why it's still shooting a beam into the sky. So yeah, mostly we built this last time, of course, to get the crafting hall there. And we started our work here on the side. But we all started right down here with this nice main entrance where we have the behemoth gate to welcome us in to the main structure, where we have this hallway that kind of leads off to different directions. So to the right is going to be that giant tower that will lead us up to the top layers with a giant staircase. We started a little bit of work on it last time, but we definitely still need some more work to finish this. And well, we tested also if it was big enough for a cloning chamber, and it definitely easily is big enough for one. Then this side, as I said, we still kind of need to figure out. We're probably going to have breeding at the bottom layer and then maybe a greenhouse on top of that, but I don't think we'll build it all the way up to the top because kind of doesn't make any sense to build it all the way up, because that's just way too much. And we'll make the base just way too big. It's already pretty big. And then one of the main things we built was this hole straight ahead. We have a nice entry point here, and I actually worked on adding some of the utilities in here. I did try out a new skin. This is actually from, I think it's called the lava layer skins, which got a lot of cool dark textures to it. I'm kind of testing it out to see if it's a good match. It does feel like it fits the Gothic vibes. It is another premium one, but there was a sale going on, so I was like, let's try out what that looks like. And it does have some really cool structures for these utilities. So that is what these forges are from. This is just the Castlecraft skin on the medium teleporter here, and then using the variants with these nice statues and then painted in the gunmetal. We've got more forges on those sides. So yeah, we have a bit of a smelting room here, and then we even have the steam forge up there. So plenty of smelting can happen in this room. You know, there's one way to fill it up, I suppose. And then we have some of the new vaults, part of the Lost Colony skins here along the walls. And then we have more crafting. So right over here we have a chem bench, we have, well, smithy, and we have our fabricator, and of course the clock. I always forget what this does. There we go. It now will boost things, I suppose. So yeah, we have that clock there because I figured, you know, that's a kind of a nice piece to have. We even have a bit of a daddy floor going on. So we have all of our storage, and then we have a tinkering desk here, more vaults along this side, and then we have some fridges, a grill, the cookers, some beer barrels, and the same thing on the other side, just to kind of, well, kind of mirror both things. And I think I'll probably add like a dining table here as well, just to fill these up. And then I had my transmitter here, but yeah, I don't know why that started bugging out. But yeah, basically we kind of just want to have a transmitter out here so that we can transfer off to different places if we wanted to, kind of utilizing the nice balcony that we have going on. And then we also of course have another layer to this build, so let's check that out. So we have our first generator here, which kind of powers this side of the build, so it at least powers this entire crafting hall. It might not power the entire base because, I mean, it is quite big, and we're gonna definitely need multiple power sources to power everything. We have a small teleporter up here too. Then we have the new blood forge right over here, you know, right here in the middle. And we have our tech replicator with the Castlecraft skin right at the very end. I thought this looked quite cool, so decided to go for that one. Then the rest is pretty empty here. You could definitely add extra storage, but I didn't think it would be very useful since you'd have to run up and down all the time. I did add the war bench, is it called that? Yes, the war bench, one of the new structures right over here. And then we have the mega lab, which surprisingly the lava layer cosmetics also had a skin for that. So yeah, we've got this one that looks quite menacing over there. So yeah, this definitely feels like a crafting hall, and well, as expected, it has definitely more than enough space to function as that, as you can see. And that means we can start to well, continue our progress. The main hall is, I mean, pretty much done. This is where you're gonna breed. I don't think we'll add a lot to the middle. This side, of course, we still kind of need to finish building, so I guess this is where we get started. Let's see if I can get some of the cosmetics that I need on the hotbar, and it instantly appears that Castlecraft is missing, which is great because we need that. I guess we're going to do a lot of copying of structures today, which is fine. Means that we have more space free on my hotbar. Let's see. We'll definitely need pillars. We'll need roofs, slope walls, maybe the corners, maybe quarter walls, who knows. Normal walls for sure. Actual ceilings, probably those gates, and large walls. Let's start with those and see where that takes us. Aberration steampunk base. Yeah, it is a bit of those vibes, I suppose. I suppose, yeah. All right, let's add some windows in here, because yeah, we definitely want to have some of those. We kind of need to decide. Well, I guess I just decided, but if we have those as windows, we want these as gates, because we still want all of the different sides, I think, to be accessible. So for example, these will just mean that that's the way to get over to the balconies, because yeah, all the balconies are going to be accessible and usable. Christmas event do you need to use destroy dinos? If you added the mod and you want the things to spawn quicker, yeah, you could use that. But eventually they'll start spawning. There we go. We'll add these wherever we have gates. And the same over here. So yeah, we just want to make sure that all of these balconies are still accessible. Just because, I mean, we have them. Might as well use them. It also means that you can kind of arrive at the base from any side and just kind of land your flyer and enter the base without too much trouble, which is quite nice, I think. Okay, so we're gonna want to copy that variant so that we can get these windows in. And since my skin is not working, I'm gonna have to use the variant cycle tool to copy over these skins without having to relog. It's a really nice new feature in ARK where sometimes, oops, your skins just aren't showing up and you kind of have to do relog, reinstall sometimes. But luckily the this tool can also still copy them. There we go. We have our gates there. We already had the gates here. Okay, and then I think we'll focus on this side of the building for now because this is what we started last time. We just need some extra things. Hello there, Bobo. Welcome in. And I think we'll add a little bit of a railing around here, just to give a little bit more detail to it. I think that's going to be quite nice. Even though that this is a rather large large wall, I still want to have a little bit of details. I think that works. You can still kind of notice that enough. Then I also would like kind of an accent wall, which I guess is going to be a little bit more tricky because of all the large walls we've used. There's no red glass skin. What I've been doing for this build is using Castlecraft and then painting it red, which has been the best option, one of the better options for now. So yeah, I've just used Castlecraft to paint it, and then you get some pretty nice glass. And it matches very well with the existing Lost Colony structures, so that is good. I really don't know why they didn't add any stained glass. Such a nice and obvious thing, and they have it in the city, so who knows, maybe we'll get a early present next year when they return to office and they'll add some new glass skins for us. But until that time, there's some options, fortunately, with cosmetics that we can use to still get some really cool effects. So yeah, this is definitely a giant wall. But what I think I would like to try is basically have like a layer of this going across, just to kind of give some accents to break up the walls, basically. So I think what we will try to do is to just kind of add these in. There we go. Awesome. Yeah, just because it kind of breaks it up, it gives a little bit of those Lost Colony textures back. into the build. And I guess I'm gonna have to copy over the rest of the Castle skins, because again, for some reason my game decided not to load them in, even though I can see them. So yeah, we're gonna just change a bunch of these skins so we can kind of get a better feeling for what we've built so far. And kind of see what we think of it. So I guess everything under that line that we just added is kind of what we want to see. And obviously we're gonna still paint those skins. I mean, that is not looking too bad. Let's take out some... What am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm painting. So we're gonna go for the gunmetal. And this should be the right color to get our walls matching more with the skins that we're using. And this also actually works very well on the normal stone walls if you don't have Castlecraft, so it's definitely a good option to match with those Lost Colony skins if you're looking to do some combinations so you don't have this very busy texture all the time. There we go. So yeah, we're just kind of painting all of these walls. Yeah, and that way, like, the base wall isn't as busy as the Lost Colony structure, which I think is just the way to kind of do this. And then I guess if we really wanted to, we could kind of play around with this pattern maybe. Like, maybe add a few of these every once in a while. Because they kind of look like fake windows, right? Even though they're very small. I think still adds a little bit. Hello there. Welcome in. Welcome in. Okay, so we're going to add another layer of walls here for sure. And I'm not sure if I just want to do the same kind of... I kind of want these kind of windows. The downside, of course, is that I would need something like... well, some kind of ceiling, I suppose. Does it work? Could I just create kind of like fake balconies? Does that allow... Oh, it does allow the snaps. So maybe we could do this. Kind of fill those spots in. Fill up these walls up here. And then I guess we are gonna kind of create like these balconies. So they're not gonna be actual balconies. It's just gonna be details for the windows, I suppose, that we have. Maybe we can kind of do something like this. Because that will add a little bit of extra shape, I guess, to the build. Yeah, that kind of breaks it up. And oh, that would actually add a little bit of the gold textures. Could be quite nice. And then I think we just want to go for windows in here. The bunker base on Ragnarok? Yeah, that's one of my favorites for sure. I really like that one. The modern frame base. Yeah, those are pretty cool as well. I do want to do another modern base soon. Probably one here on Lost Colony. But hopefully we can get this base finished today. That would be good. There we go. I think that's a pretty good start. Let's see if we can copy over the windows. So we'll have to paint them again, of course, because they are not red by default. Yeah, PlayStations do have a little bit more issues, although most of the things, I mean, there is PlayStation players on my community servers. They also do have some tips to make the performance a little bit better. But yeah, in general, it is definitely, it seems to be the one that struggles the most. Unless you have the PlayStation Pro, that seems to handle things slightly better. I think if we had something like this in front of the window, that might be some nice details. Let's see, because then we could copy the walls in here. So we can kind of just fill in those wherever we can. There we go. This looks pretty nice. We're rebuilding this the giant tower, and currently we're trying to fill in this entire site because we have a staircase from the bottom layer to this top layer, which is a pretty insane distance, but we're trying to make it work. Oh god, it's gonna be quite tricky. Need to look straight at them because it's just railing, so it's going to be very easy to accidentally paint some different structures, which we don't want, but I mean, it's not too bad because we don't really see these anyway. But yeah, that is quite nice. Okay. Nope. Look very low. Nope. Okay, let's change those. I guess we're just skinning them just in case. And then we can, of course, paint all of these existing walls to make them blend in a bit more. It is an insane amount of space that you have in this base. Honestly, the only reason I'm building them up this high is just so that we can connect the different layers. It's probably not necessarily going to have multiple floors on the inside, just because I don't think you'd need it. Of course, you could add them if you wanted to, but yeah, I don't think you need it. I actually really like the idea of this kind of window. So yeah, that might be something that we can repeat. Let's see if we paint these windows red for the proper effect, the final look, because that will make the windows stand out a bit more. But I think that's going to look quite nice. Yeah, I like those a lot more. I mean, the big windows are nice. They let in a lot of light, but those are pretty cool too. Can I paint those red? No, it's only really gonna make the edges red and not the actual window. Because that's different windows. Because we needed the sloped walls, and unfortunately Castlecroft doesn't have those. But yeah, I think that looks pretty nice. I might add another layer of these kind of windows, honestly. Because even with the little balcony, it had some depth to the walls. Yeah, might be nice to have another one of these. I think we're probably at least want to just build up those layers, and then over here we are just going to repeat what we just did, I think. Because again, especially having those nice windows really helps with a wall this big. And it's also just a really nice way to blend in the Lost Colony skins, because I think the gateways, that's probably the best part of that skin. So yeah, having a few of those in here is definitely very helpful. There we go. So that's a start. Then we can add in the supports again. Yeah, you can paint Outlaw structures. Yeah. I don't know if the window itself would paint though. The edges, the wood on the edges would paint. Not sure if the window itself can be painted. Alright, let's see. We just want to fill in the window. Oh, there we go. So that's going to be the window. So we'll pretty much have another layer of those windows at the next layer. Oh, I really like these spikes on there. There we go. We'll add a few of those in again for these corners. Awesome. And then I guess we want to copy over some things. Hello there. Welcome in, detective. Did I have this to copy? Yes, there we go. Get the windows in there. And we can just kind of do that for these all over. Let's see. Do we want to have another layer of windows? Where would those even start? That would be up here. Is that still gonna fit over here? That is the question. Not really, is it? There's also a pterodon stuck inside of the tower. That's crazy. Interesting. I think I mean, we could totally still do it on this side. But that might be better off if I then combine it to this layer here. Which also means that I could have done this with large walls. There we go. Because yeah, that just meets up quite nicely, so we might as well do that. Oh, nope. There we go. And I think probably this side we're just gonna fill in since there's already the ice before it anyway. The castle craft, yeah, castle craft is crossplay, so you can use it anywhere. You can use it everywhere. Let's see. So yeah, we are probably doing that here just so that the window matches up with the layer that we actually have a walkway on. It's obstructed here. Oh, that is annoying. Oh, and now it's not obstructed. That's weird. I mean, I don't care because it placed exactly where I wanted to, so all good to me. And then we can have those arches up there. Yeah, that's gonna be fine. And then might add like a like some statues or something here. So we might have some statues there, something. Although maybe we want those a little bit lower. Let's have these supports first to see where we think we need those most. So we can have a half here and then 3. So yeah, probably over here, I'd say. It's probably around where we want it. Okay, fill in the middle. And then we can kind of just build this up. So yeah, this on the side, we're definitely just building it up because there's already a lot of ice in front of it. Same from that layer onwards, I think. It's just going to be a wall since, again, it's pretty much covered, so we don't really see much of it. And we can kind of just build up these structures to meet up with the roof. There we go. Awesome. So yeah, we have windows. In here. We want to have the railings, of course. All the way around. And then have the pillars over there. We can do the same here. I guess we can change all of those skins as well, because I mean, we kind of already know. I'm gonna wait with the railings just because maybe painting them and not missing is gonna be easier when I can see the railings instead of the skinned version. Okay, well, that's all aligned. I guess we might as well change those. That is starting to look pretty nice, so let's fill in the rest of this wall. That's not what I want. Please, just behave. Just snap in the right way. I guess that's all we need. Then a few normal walls. There we go. That is a giant wall, but we're getting there. Okay, let's first of all copy over all of the stone textures as much as we can. There we go. And we'll just try to fill it in all around these windows. Awesome. Trying to fill in all the gaps. It might be easier from the inside this last bit because of all the icicles on the outside. But yeah, that should get us a pretty nice big wall. And again, the only real reason we're doing is so that you can access the top layer. But yeah, I guess that also means anything you want to breed in here. I mean, we currently have the clone chamber there, but anything you want to breed in here, that's definitely gonna fit. All right, that should now all fit perfectly. Let's see. We can also paint the walls. Also, probably gonna be easier here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, the Giga mode is definitely fits easily here. There we go. Okay, so we just want to make sure that we fill or paint all of these structures so they match our vibes. There we go. Almost there. Well, now that is one big wall. I guess we might as well paint the windows red at the same time. There we go. Guess there's a few more up here. What the heck? How do these creatures get into my walls? All right, that's another window. And then we start painting a bunch more. There's always something to paint. There we go. Some nice red windows, quite like that. We could even keep the statues going, so we could have another one over here. And potentially we could have another one over there. Just to kind of keep that similar. But yeah, that fits in quite well with the existing structure. That blends in pretty nicely. All right, let's see if we can paint all of the railings so we can also skin those. And then I think we have this outside wall covered. So yeah, we want to make sure that we paint just the railings. Just the railings all the way around. On all of the different sides. For every one of these window frames. There we go, just a few more. Definitely a little bit easier because I can make sure that I'm not going through the gaps. There we go. So now we want to copy over the right skin again. Using that variant tool. And then we can have a lovely castle battlements. Which I definitely think is a nice vibe because it adds a little bit more of the castle vibes back into the place. There we go. Very nice. Let's also grab the statue skin. And then we can add those over here. I think it probably would be nice. Well, first of all, to make them big. I kind of think the dragon is probably a good match. And we're gonna have to paint these trophies. There we are. And now we have a few dragon heads poking out of that wall. That's looking quite cool. Fills in that part pretty well. And then, of course, the other side, like the opposite side, that's going to be exactly the same. So I think I'll leave that out for now just to save some time during the stream. Because otherwise we're going to just end up doing the whole same thing again. And we'll probably focus on this wall first now, because that's a bit more important. Can we get the right snap there? We can. Can we do that once more? We can. We don't seem to be able to do it again, so we'll go for normal walls. There we go. We can do that all the way. Yeah, so for this side, first of all, we kind of just want to build the frame. So we want to build up the side walls, which are going to be no, that's not right. That's overlapping. Okay. It's so weird that it won't let me fill anything in there. Yeah, it's gonna just be a little bit of a gap there because it won't let me place any structures in. But yeah, this we want to just bring up pretty much all the way. There we go. Just to kind of build the frame that we're going to be working with. And yeah, ideally, I guess we'd want to have some kind of big window, but we'll see. Let's see, we probably at least want to have a buffer this big before we do anything. So what we could do is build this out and we could have these. Well, actually, we could have a giant window frame if we wanted to. You could even have giant shutters if we open these and use them as like the world's largest window shutters. That could be a thing. And that would help also making the wall less flat, right? We definitely want to add those. Maybe have some ramps underneath as the supports. Actually, probably want to end it at those. And we can actually fill in the sides. So yeah, at least they will get a little bit of those colony accents this way, which is always nice. Okay, we'd want to have 2 of those right next to it. The only downside of this is that it would have to be a square window if we want to get the red window. Because unfortunately, those don't exist for slope walls. Otherwise, it would be these windows again, which we could go for. Because I guess we could have... Let's see. Unfortunately, these also don't have the shallow slope windows, because that would have been even better. Because we could really go for a custom shape. I guess a square window could also just work, because we're gonna have to have another thing up there. Which, let's just say that we would do another one of those layers. Could work. Let's see what that would look like. Because I do kind of like the big shutters. Because they add a lot of layers to the wall. So we could just have 2 big windows. I quite like that idea. There we go. And I guess these windows could be... I mean, we're going to fill them in. But you could, if you wanted to, not fill them in and use them as actual gates to get in and out of your base. You know, fly in and out. I think I'm going to go for the window, Luke. Because we have plenty of entrances already. But, yeah, you totally could use it as a window that is open. There we go. It's a bit hard to judge, of course, because we haven't skinned it yet. But if you imagine big red stained glass there, big red stained glass there, I think that is going to be quite nice. So I think that is what I will do. There we go. We'll have to skin these. Okay, for the top, what we could do, because we need some kind of barrier at the end, I suppose. We could probably have at least a beam going across the top there. Okay. Yeah, I think at least... Also, I can't quite remember. Can I have those glass things on large walls? I don't think I can. Not these ones, but these. I think... Yeah, those do not work on large walls. So we're just going to have to fill these in. I think at least the bottom layer, I'm just going to make a functional window. So you're not gonna fly through this one at least. But that would make sense because if there's bigger creatures behind there, you'll just fly into them anyway. And we don't want that. So we'll copy this and we'll make this a very nice big window, which also will let in all of the light that we'll need. There we go. I mean, that is pretty nice. And just imagine... Well, let's not imagine. Let's actually do it. Let's make this a nice stained glass window. There we go. We're getting there. It's a big window. Lots of paint. Yeah, there we go. Just imagine the rest of the wall being the black stone. I think that's gonna work. Now, for the top layer, we do have a choice. Because you could use it as an actual window to fly in and out. Of course, we don't really need the space. Problem is, of course, you'll have to be able to land and open and close the gate. What does it look like closed? I mean, still pretty nice. It's actually quite nice because it gets a little bit of the curve. So maybe, yeah, we use this as an actual gate here. So then we can get rid of the beams. And then we can build in a little bit of this slope. That is looking quite nice. So yeah, we would probably want to have some kind of platform here on the inside then. So that you could, I don't know, land flyers. Just underneath those windows, but that's fine. And I guess we probably don't need this to go all the way through. Just far enough that you have a little bit of space here to use. Probably this is about right. I mean, you could expand it, of course. And then I'm guessing we're best off trying to connect it to the staircase. Maybe actually that would be better off the other way around. Coming down with the stairs from there, which means we extend this with one. So yeah, we could have at least some flyers around here if you want to fly in and out of the base. What? Why is it split screen? What the heck? What's going on? There we go. What the hell? That's not what I see, by the way. So I don't know why it does that. That is weird. All right. Let's get these back in here. So yeah, we have the window. You can fly in, you can park your flyers, and it connects into the staircase of doom. And then the other one is just a window, which is totally fine. Yeah, and then I guess probably at the very least we can have a nice statue on top there. There we go. And I guess this means we can start bringing over these skins to this wall. There we go. That will transform the way this looks big time. Oh, that's very uneven. There we go. We can bring these across. Oh, yeah. And then we can fill in more of these walls. And we can go all the way across all of these. Get a nice castle walls in here. We're not totally done yet with this side because we also need to figure out the roof, which is going to be interesting. We definitely want to have some nice things going on with that too. But yeah, that is the entire castle wall. We'll just have to paint it all black. Well, gunmetal, not black. Nope. That's the wrong one. We want to go for the gunmetal. It's probably going to be worth painting it all now so that we can really take it all in and see what it looks like. There we go. And we got a bunch of painting to do. Let's just bring up all this on that side. And then we can do the same over here on this side. Bring that all the way up. And then we just have the middle to do. And we can have the rest of those walls. We can paint the statue, and then of course this little arch that we made. And there we go. We have a nice big window and a flyer entrance into the giant tower as well. And then looking at it from this corner, it is quite nice. It feels, if you look at it from a distance like this, it feels kind of just like this was already the structure, which is what we want, of course. That's kind of the vibe that we'll try to achieve. Okay, I think here at the end, we're going to kind of curve this out a little bit with the roof by adding another layer of ramps all the way across. There we go. And then I suppose I don't want to go too crazy because we have that window there. So I don't think I necessarily want to break up the roof too many times in weird things because yeah, we don't necessarily need it. What could be a nice detail is something like this, a little bit of a spike, and then especially if we combine it with railings that could be on top of the roof, that could be quite nice. So let's say we have like a gap of 3 before we do that again, another gap of 3, and then I guess we could have it one more time over at that side. There we go. I mean, that probably already adds a little bit of intrigue to this roof, you know, makes it a little bit more interesting with those spikes. So I think what we're just gonna do is we're just gonna fill in the roof. I mean, it's still gonna be a giant roof because this is just a very large building, but it definitely will look very cool, I think. I guess wherever we can, we will add the roofs. Oh. And this should help remove all of the snow that might still be on the inside. I love how this update's live now, that they fixed that. There's still, of course, a few structures that kind of always keep their snow, like the railings. But you know, that's already a huge improvement over what it used to be. So yeah, we'll just keep filling in all of these structures. Oh. Please. Don't do that. There we go. All the way round. Oh, don't misplace all of these, please. There we go. Oh, don't need that. There we go. Well, we will still add the details on there, but at least that fills in the gap quite nicely. A cool tribe tower skin to fit the builds. Castlecraft does have one that makes it look like a castle tower. That would probably be one to fit in easily. I don't really know if there's any other ones that fit in, which is kind of frustrating because they did give us a official Christmas skin for the tribe tower. Like, I would have much rather have one in the Lost Colony style. Like, imagine what they could have done with an official Lost Colony tribe tower. I really hope that at some point they will do with one of the new releases, if they do a skin, they will also do it for all of the utility structures, because it would be so nice if you can do your entire base in the same vibe, the same theme that they do the map. Same with the, I mean, honestly, same with the Frontier, the Steampunk, and everything they've done so far, of course. But since we already know we're going to get like pirates and galaxy wars and stuff, would be nice to see skins for our structures and also for the utilities so that we can make them fit in. That's definitely my highest wish list. But of course, if they don't, there's always the options for going for like custom cosmetics, because modders are definitely doing an amazing job at filling in those gaps. Yeah, I think that is simple yet efficient to detail these roofs, which is exactly what we want, because on such a large scale, yeah, we don't want to do too many little things. It's going to just make it look very weird. So there we go. That would be it. The windows are from Castlecraft. Well, I guess we better start skinning all of this. Let's do these ones. The railings, I'm actually gonna skin in something else. So first we'll do all of these Lost Colony structures for the ramps. I kind of like that the ramps are actually matching the roof somewhat in this skin. That is a kind of a first. They don't really usually do match at all. I think it might also only match because the snow is on top. It might not really match, but that's fine. We do have the snow. There we go. So yeah, we'll just go and change this entire roof to our nice Lost Colony skins, which already has quite a nice texture to it. The roof is definitely really, really nice. So yeah, oh my god, this is a big roof, isn't it? And there we go. We can continue to fill it all in. A giant build. But we're getting there. And then we'll have probably the most annoying part of the build done. This giant tower, so that we can connect the different layers. I think we'll probably work on the bottom layer first, so we can finish the breeding layer there and adding the greenhouse, and then we can build the entrance here for the top layer. And hopefully we should all be able to do that in this stream, so that we can I mean, at least finish the main structure would be really nice. There we go. So that is kind of the main structure look. I do also wanna copy over these. So these, that's the dungeon skin from Castlecraft, and they add these really cool spikes, which I think are really nice for these railings on the roof. So again, we're just gonna follow that all the way up. And we're gonna follow this all the way down again. But yeah, Castlecraft is really good for any kind of medievally castle-y builds that you want to do. It's got a lot of cool options. There we go. All the way up to the top. And then we have another one of these. Just all the way down the slope. There we are. And then we have one more. So there we go. That is going to be the roof for this pod, especially the spikes, I think, are a nice addition. Yeah, finding the right skins for your utilities and tribe towers and stuff, especially the bigger ones, of course, they stand out the most. It's always a little bit more tricky. But yeah, hopefully in the future, they will start adding more skins. I'm thinking of this top, now that I saw it again. Do I kind of want to have maybe a few more of these kind of things just to add that little extra here on the roof? Just thinking that might, because you'll see that a little bit more from a distance as well. The other side, we're just going to do the same as here, so I'm not going to do that now because that would just be wasting time doing the same thing we've already done again. Which you know, rather not do that and then not being able to finish the rest on stream would be annoying. We are going to make sure that we finish these sides because we already built all of these sides up. We just need to make sure that we add the skins. I think we'll need to open the gates so that we can infect. Actually, those needs to be different skins, so we'll wait with these. And then the sides here. Oh, there we go. There's a bunch of creatures in here. Why are you hanging out in my house? You're supposed to not be allowed near my build. I guess you just keep getting caught and stuck. There we go. We can do all of those. And then we'll do these sides. Yeah, the dinos can't wait to move in. There we are. Okay, well that adds in most of them. Then I want to copy this window skin, which is the trim variant, because that should give me the right ones for these in here too. There we go. Should be able to get some nice windows in here. I mean, it's definitely more of a castle. It is a giant tower after all that we're rebuilding. Okay, let's see. So we want to cycle through these so that we get the nice arched window. There we go. Do the same over there. And then, I mean, I guess now we paint up these walls too so that we have this middle section at the top ready to go before we do anything else. Just so that we don't forget about these parts. There we go. Okay, Tyler, calm down there. Oh yeah, I totally should bring a Cosmo over. There we we go. Jeez, what the heck is that Thyla doing? Calm down. And another wall done. Just the entrance here. There we go. So that should be all of the different sides for now. Then we want to make sure that we look at the actual windows. And we should be able to paint those so they also get the red glow. It's a little harder to see if you're looking from the inside, but if you look from the outside, they will definitely turn red. There we go. Oh god, that was not the right spot, as you can see, and now I've got a red wall. Oh, I did it again. There we go. Let's fix those mistakes. We can actually already paint those before we skin it. And yeah, there we are. So we have all our windows ready. We will build some kind of entrance up here eventually. First, I think we're going to focus on what we'll build down there. And yeah, we're getting definitely closer to being done. Also, I am wondering about the structure count. So right here, it's still all good. This is still all below official structure count, but I'm kind of scared for this. Oh, it actually goes down in this tower. So yeah, right now, in the way we've built it, I guess we're still going to get this wall. So maybe not get my hopes up. But yeah, it might be able to be done on official, potentially. Yeah, the dragon heads are also Castlecraft. Yeah, it's there's a statue skin in there. All right. Let's see what we'll do with this build. So the idea is, of course, you'll be able to do some breeding here. You'll be able to do some breeding over this side as well. And then I think the bottom layer on that side is also going to be breeding, and then there's going to be greenhouses on top of it. That's kind of the plan, I think. Why is there still snow in here? Is it just because it is so tall? It doesn't actually realize there's now a roof above it. That could be the case. That could totally be the case. Which, you know, that's fair enough, because this is very tall. All right, let's focus on this side over here. Again, we're going to start with the corners, because, well, we kind of need to feel out where we can actually place these structures. There we go. And then I think probably over here we want to do the same. How many walls do we have left is the question then. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's a shame, because it would have been a lot easier if it was even, I think. Although, so do we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. I guess that is fair enough. For the height of this part of the build, we probably at least want to go this high. just because any creatures we would be able to breed in here then, which I think is still the goal. If this is going to be a breeding part of the build, we'd want to try and make sure that pretty much all the creatures could be bred in here, which also means we can actually have, again, some of these gateways along the side so that you could get to the balconies, and some of them are going to be windows again, I think. There we go. Could we do something like that? I guess we could. We could even do something like this, and then instead of having walls in between these, we can just have some gates in between the windows. There we go. I think that could definitely work. And then for this side, of course, that means we can also fill in these. We can have our walls going across both sides. And nope, that's not where I wanted it. Why do you not wanna? There we go. Snap to the right pieces. Let's say we just fill in these sections like normal. And then I actually think I want to try something different here to get a little bit more of the lost colony structures in here. So I think what we'll do is we'll have a few of these sections just like that. And then we're gonna work with some of the variants, because we can have these, the fake windows, which unfortunately aren't actual windows, but they kind of look like it. And I think we could have something like this, where it just looks like a bunch of windows. I think that could work. Yeah, it would have been really nice if we had actual windows. I really don't know why they didn't add any stained glass. Or even just make this transparent in there. But hey, I've said that a lot of times now. You know, it is what it is. We'll manage, we'll find ways around it. And we'll still build pretty cool things regardless. So there we go. We have our entrances there. We have our fake windows. We'll have our actual windows in here. I think we're probably gonna do the same on the other side. There we go. And we can fill those in. Then there's going to be windows in here, of course. We can fill across the top here. And then we can kind of just keep filling that all the way up. There we go. Same over here. And we'll go and create the same kind of window shapes. And then we'll change the variance again. There we go. So now we want to bring over one of the windows in here. And the same over there on that side. And then the same over here on this side. And over here. Awesome. Yeah, let's do the sides of the walls now first before we do the end of the building again. So yeah, we want to copy over our stonework, which I think is going to be quite nice. Kind of shaping up these different sections. Would this actually help a little bit if we had some more texture to these by adding in these pillars along the sides? And then guess we could even add these on the top. Not sure if that helps. Maybe not. Also kind of depends what I was going to do above anyway, I guess. Don't know if I like that a lot. I think I might at least want to have beams at the bottom. I guess that probably means we should have them at the top too. There we are. I mean, just okay. Imagine, of course, that the wall isn't bright like this. Let's actually make sure we get the full picture here. I think that is definitely gonna help. And I mean, if we're speaking about the right picture, of course, it also means these windows. And now that should look quite nice. And then if we were to add in our roofs, I think we might be onto something that looks quite good. We could even, instead of the things that I was adding before, I guess we could even have those kind of interruptions above the windows that we have. That kind of helps to break up those sides a little bit. And then I guess I might want to have one layer just being normal all the way from one side to another. And then I think in here is where we'll have to build another layer. That is above the gate. That's good. It's going to make it a lot easier. But also kind of depends on the front, of course, what we're going to be able to do. But yeah. Might add a few of these on the top. And why not? And in these railings. And not just those railings, we actually also want to have railings alongside the ceilings. Let's see if we can have one here at the end. We very much can. And then I think at least the ceilings and those railings we can change to Lost Colony. There we go. And then we'll once again copy over those spikes for these parts on the roofs. Just to add a little bit of extra interest. How did you get so good at building? Mostly just doing it a lot. And I don't know, my brain just works a certain way where I can kind of just see a build and then try to translate that from my mind into a game. It also does help, you know, doing some research, like looking at actual buildings or buildings for movies or different games or, you know, series or whatever, anything you like, and then, you know, trying to see how you could bring that into ARK or whatever game you're trying to build in. Okay, let's get a little bit of new fresh light on here. I do like that. I do like that a lot, actually. I think that is a very nice side of the building, so we're gonna replicate that over here now. Which means we're gonna copy over some of the walls, of course. And then we also wanna add these things at the bottom, at the top. And then pillars around the sides. Oh, not in the middle. And then we can change those skins again, of course. Oh, we messed up a window. There we go. That is looking quite nice. How does your FPS bubble once these hefty builds are complete? For me, it's not really an issue, but I do have a really good PC, so I'm not the prime example. But most of my builds are usually pretty fine, because even people on the PlayStation and Xbox visit my bases sometimes when I build them on my community servers, and they seem to be handling it. There is some tricks, of course, that you can do to make performance slightly better on consoles too. So yeah, of course it depends on how big and how crazy you go, but you can handle a fair bit. There we go. That is a good start. We also want to paint the windows before we forget. So let's add these in, but then first, let's make sure we paint these windows, so we can't forget that. There we go. Oh god, that's not the wall or the roof we want. Yeah, we'll add these little additions again, just so that looks all nice. And then we can add in these little spikes on the top. And another layer of roofs. All the way across. There we go. And our ceilings. And our railings. Getting the details in on the sides at the very least. And then of course we also want to have these railings in place again. There we are. We can take out our Lost Colony skins again. And go crazy on these parts. Those colony saddle skins would also be really nice. I think you can unlock those from doing missions in the city and stuff. And maybe your skills. Both or one of the two. Yeah, I mean, they have been talking about doing another engine update. Engine to 5.7. And apparently that is supposed to have a lot of performance upgrades. Which, I mean, they told us the same last time. I did have a bit, but hopefully it will be enough. There we go. We'll have the spikes on top here. And then we have the side of this completed. We just need to do these walkways. Do those skins face the same way? Yeah, okay, good. There we go. That seems to be totally fine. And then, of course, this would have to continue here. Oh, we can even have a roof there. That's pretty nice. Then, of course, we'll need to figure out the front of this building here. But the side is definitely looking quite good. Yeah, the city is definitely pretty intense. Okay, let's build up these windows here. And what else do we want to do here? Do we want to add anything more? Because we could also just kind of build it up to there. Then I'd probably at least have that roof here, although it's not going to do much because we don't have a lot of other roofs over here. Because yeah, we're going to have a greenhouse on top of here still. It's going to be the next build. So this is pretty much going to all just be part of the build. We'll have, of course, some stairs leading up to the entrances here. There we go. We'll have to fill in our walls for this layer, that's for sure. But what else do we want to do over here to kind of make this a little bit nicer? I guess what we could potentially do is... What is the middle? That gate is the middle. Could we add... Oh, that's gonna be like way too big. Maybe we can just add a few additions. So let's say we add one here and we add one there. Maybe we do it from the corners though. So then we have 4 left. So we have the railings. I think we'll remove this because it doesn't make a lot of sense to have that necessarily. And I think probably underneath there we just want to have a few of these large walls so we can just kind of fill in those gaps. Yeah, it is a pretty cool building spot for sure. It is very big once you start actually rebuilding it. Like, you realize how big of a base you can build here quite easily. It's a really good spot, though. Okay, so what I think we'll do over here is make those a little bit beefier. And we're gonna have some supports to the side. Yeah, maybe we just kind of have these. So it's a bit more of a castle vibe on this side, which I think is fitting. Then we could, of course, have some more of those windows in here. There we go. So these, of course, will be the Lost Colony skins then. Yeah, the manas, I don't like them in general, and there's a lot of them here on the map, isn't there? Okay, so we'll have the railings there too. I think that kind of sums it all up. I can't connect these, but that's fine. So yeah, in my mind, this already looks pretty cool. Of course, you can't see it completely yet, but I promise it will be good. All right, I think it's time to start transforming this by copying over some of our castle skins. So first of all, of course, these walls to get the castle walls in place. We can also do that for most of these here. There we are. I think that should also help us. Should I do this? Or get a little bit more of those Lost Colony vibes in here? I might go for that. just to kind of blend the two styles together a little bit more. And there's a wall behind it anyway, so kind of works out. Will all make sense in a little bit. Then, oh, I didn't paint them yet, but, or I didn't change the skins yet, but we'll paint them already before we add in the windows. Might as well, because I wanted to paint the castle. And this will just save us some time. Transform this side into something nice. All the way up to the top here. That is already starting to look nice. Then for these new railings that I've placed, I actually also want to paint those. So we're just gonna go along the side, and it's gonna only be the ones on this side, I think. There we go. And I think we'll do the first one around the corner, since that belongs to the little extension we build. Okay. So should be able to copy things over now. Did we have a statue in here? There we go. We can add some of those to the right spots. We of course want to add in the windows now. There we are. That looks quite cool. And then finally, what we want to do up here is get these battlements, because I think that will look quite nice. Give it a little bit more of a castle-y feeling for sure. It also means that I still need... Oh, no, I don't need the beam. I need the pillars in some of these corners. And obviously I'll need to rotate them to the right orientation. There we go. And then we can paint them too. Just need to find the pillars. Oh, there we go. And with those in place, yeah, that's gonna look a little bit more like a castle now. Which is quite nice. Definitely want to make the dragons a bit bigger. And oh, this baby bird is flapping very hard for its life. And then I think on top of this, I probably do want a little bit of a roof, because otherwise it feels a little bit weird. So I think that is what we're gonna do to make this wall a little less flat. And then we'll copy over some of those spikes again. There we go. That should help break up this wall. Yeah, I think that looks quite nice. Looks a little bit more like a fortress on that side. And that also means we can start filling most of this in. Do I want to have some kind of cellar door here somewhere? Because we could add one, two. So let's say we do this. That's 4. Because we could add a cellar door. We might as well, right? It might be useful. Oh god. If you want to drop off things into the base. And we can do the same over there. Then I guess we just want to bring out the behemoth cellar door. Which way is it going to open? I kind of think that I would prefer it all the way around. Nope, that's still the wrong way around. There we go. Now it should open the right way. Okay. Oh, jeez. Why is that sound so loud? What the hell? Wild card? That is insane. I'm not even going to close it again. I'm scared. That was insane. Oh my god. Well, let's also add some beams around the edge. I would like to have it closed when I'm not using it. But, oh my lord. That was loud. You know what the life hack might be? Oh, I was gonna say, I need to remove the skin first, but I pressed E. Well, let's keep that closed. But yeah, that might be useful if you want to drop some things that you've just tamed in. So you don't have to drop it at the front gate if it doesn't fit through the normal dino gates, I guess. Alright, let's fill in the rest of the roof here so that we can add some greenhouses. Now, the greenhouses, of course, we can't make too big because if it's too tall, we lose our effectiveness. So we kind of just want to make sure that whatever we build isn't too tall. And I've got some ideas of what we could do. But, yeah, we'll see what kind of fits and works. First of all, we'll have to make our entire floor. There we go. Well, that is the building closed off for now. And let's get out a bunch of our greenhouse things. Who knows what we'll use? Probably at least these things. And we can kind of see, of course, we have a perfect middle here. Okay, so in theory, I could have wait, this is the middle, so that would be equally wide on all sides. It's not going to have effectiveness all the way at the back, I think, so that's probably where you want to keep like your storage or your fridges and stuff. But let's just start shaping out a greenhouse that we like. I think potentially I would like to have walls that are 3 high. And we might have to just kind of add an inner wall. I don't know if that's needed for effectiveness, actually. You know what we'll do? We'll place down a crop plot to see. Do we want to have a normal one? We'll place one of each. I guess the new tech ones are really the new stars, so probably the ones that we want to use. But who knows? We'll add some of the regular ones for fun. If I can get decent placement on them. There we go. We can have a path in the middle of the normal crop plots. So right now, no effectiveness, of course. That is what we expected. If you tried using quantum floor skins with this, I guess that could work, yeah. I try to not do too many skins in one build if I can help it, except for the decor. There we go. So if we start with this, what is the effectiveness? Oh, it's already 300% in the middle. 500 for these. Damn, look at that. So I guess that means whatever I've done is already a success at some of the layers. I think what I want to do is kind of have like a nice rounded ending to these. I think that would be quite nice. It does mean that I have no snap points for those for some reason, which is great. I guess I could probably get some if I have these. And then hopefully they can stay when I remove those. There we go. That's perfect. So this is the bare minimum of the greenhouse that I would want. I do think we're going to add a little bit more though to give it even more shape. So what I'm going to end up doing is having some small additions to the sides here. Just to make this more interesting, I suppose. The problem is that they would end up being the same height, which is exactly what we don't want. Unless we make this even one higher. Could we do that? I mean, we could try and do it and see if the effectiveness stays. It's probably going to drop this entire front, isn't it? Oh, it seems to... Yep, there we go. So ideally what I would do is raise these up by one more, which is going to make them quite tall, but that would allow the side bits to be that high before we have these being this high. Let's see if there's still any effectiveness left on the inside once we have the roof on. Yeah, I don't know why the cellar door makes that noise that loud. That's crazy. There we go. Let's just have those all the way across. Let's see what the effectiveness is now on the inside. Yeah, they seem to be totally fine. So this works, which is amazing because that also means we can have these to the side, which just means even more greenhouse, I guess, to utilize. We'll also still need to build like a way up here, of course. But right now we're just designing a nice building on top, which is looking quite nice, I think. You could, of course, use this as just a greenhouse design next to your Gothic build if you don't want to build the rest of the building and just this. This could work. Because we're going to skin it, of course, to look more Gothic. More Lost Colony. Oh, let's flip these the right way around. Do I just want to have double doors there? I think so. There we go. So that's kind of the vibe that we're going to go for. I think we definitely want to have those pillars on the corner. We want those. And I probably want to have these. There we go. Let's see if we... Nope, can't really add anything else there. Let's add those doors. Very nice. And then, of course, obviously, these doors are still going to be the Gothic-y skins. And the roofs are definitely going to be, of course, as well. For sure. So we do all of this. And then, at the very least, we're going to add those roofs. But I think we want to have some slight additional details. So I am going to add these around the outside. Just so that we have a little bit more detail, right? Okay. And then, of course, we can do these. We can do the main roof. I guess we don't really want to extend the main roof, because if we do that here, we might influence the effectiveness below. Oh, this is actually gonna auto open for me. This should still have all the effectiveness. Great. We might want to add a few of these pillars in here and there, just for some decorative purposes. There we go. And then we can add the skins to them. Okay, and I think then what we want to do, at least for the main part, is the bottom layer. I think we want to change to the Lost Colony skins. But then we want to have the neutral one, so the same on both sides. So we'll do that all the way around. There we go. And I think I'm probably going to keep the greenhouse glass, and I'm just going to paint the window regions, which should look pretty decent. We tested this before the last stream. And at least this makes it feel a bit more fitting. But I think in this case, for a greenhouse, I mean, for a greenhouse, the greenhouse walls work quite well. So I think that is what we're gonna go for these. And we just want to bring these all around. There we go. That should be the entire main bit painted. And look at that. That transforms it a lot from the outside, of course. So I think, yeah, on these, again, I'm just going to paint the glass. There we go. There's not a lot visible, of course, from these sides with the roof additions. But that is totally worth it. So we'll do those little extra details around these edges too. And we can kind of just add these again. Hello there. Yeah, well, I was always streaming again, but now I'm also multi-streaming to Twitch again. I'll show the base from a distance in a second. Let's just add these around. And we can go all the way. Okay, still need a few little details, I think, for the greenhouse. So what we want to do here is just add those and then add some railings, of course. So we'll do that from one side to the other. We can change those skins and then nope, not that one. We want to copy over some of the spikes again, of course. That hopefully also shouldn't influence any of the effectiveness. And that's kind of the greenhouse, I think, that we're going to add on there. So there we go. That is starting to look quite nice. So these two buildings are a little bit more utility focused. But look quite nice. And then this one especially. This angle is good. Because this kind of feels like it's just completed, the whole shape. That is quite exciting. So we're getting quite far with the base now that we have this side building completed. Because now once we go in, we have the crafting hall that we did last time straight ahead. We have this new breeding hall over here, which is almost done. We have a few last things to do, of course. First of all, we have missed some of these pieces in there, so we definitely want to make sure those are painted. So let's do that. And then we also need to still, of course, get a staircase in here so that we can actually get up to the top layer, which is also quite important. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like it. I think it's going pretty well with this build too, to be honest. It's definitely turning out quite nice. So let's see. We could potentially start a staircase over here, I think. Let's get these pieces back on the hotbar. Because we're done with the greenhouse. Yeah, so I think this is where the stairs can kind of start to go down. So potentially they could loop around and come down here so that they're just in the corner. I mean, to be fair, we might not want all of this. We might want to keep this smaller, and I hate to do it, but we might want a oh, I need to change these. I might want to sell a door, so I don't need the railing. Because then we can close it off, right? Oh, why did I delete it? So yeah, we can close it. I'm not even gonna try and open that just because of noise risks. So, but I think this one is actually fine. Yeah, this one's normal. Okay. So we'll just close that. So we'll have a simple staircase around the side here so that you can get to the roof and to the greenhouses. You can do all of your breeding in here. Definitely a ton of space for breeding. And then we have the greenhouses effective on top there. We have a cellar door to drop in some bigger tames. We have a lot of room here. So yeah, this is definitely going to be a good breeding base. Will there be a tutorial? No, because it is a rebuild. I can't do this more than once. So instead, well, the streams will be up on the channel, of course, on YouTube. And I will probably edit them together in a video, and hopefully it won't be too long. It will be quite long because last stream was like 3 hours. This one is already 2 hours. So it is a big project. But yeah, you can always watch the entire streams back because they are on YouTube. They'll be always on YouTube. On Twitch, they disappear, of course, after a while. All right, so we're almost there. We're almost there. We have pretty much everything that I want to build at the bottom layers. The only thing is that we might want to extend this part a little bit to build like a cooler entrance on the top layer that leads into the mountains. So I think that is something that we'll work on now. I don't think we're gonna go too crazy on this because there's already a lot of structures. Actually, speaking of structures, let's kind of check the count again. I guess this side isn't completed yet, so we can't really be sure. But yeah, I think with this wall, this might slightly go over the official limit. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's going to be, yeah, it's over the official limit already in the middle. But technically, if you start building from the middle outwards, you might be able to pull it off. You won't be able to add anything in the middle anymore, though. That is the only issue. But yeah, if we build this edition, it's definitely going to be bigger than official. So you're going to have to pick and choose, I suppose, which sections you want or not. Okay, let's see how far do we want to bring this outward. I think probably around this is fine because we kind of just want a cool entrance here. And that's kind of it. So I think if we do that, I mean, it's going to have to be the big gate, right? That's going to be kind of the main thing. Which means that this will be kind of the way up to that entrance. I don't think it will let me snap that to the side, so we'll just keep it like this. We'll fill in the main gate. And we can, of course, get ready to skin those all. So that's the start. Of course, we're gonna try and add a bunch of details to this. And we might even try to add a tribe tower to this too. So I think this is what we'll bring back into the main structure. So we can kind of just, oops, start filling in. Why can I not? Why does it not let me delete that? Okay, let me go into Ghost real quick. I don't want to show my password. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it is a long rewatch if you want to build this for yourself. And it's probably going to be longer than just rewatching, because if you're trying to build it at the same time, you know, it's going to take more time, of course. At least with one of the new skills, the Wisp, you can build pretty much with creative flight, even if you're in survival, which will help a lot. But yeah, getting all the resources as well, of course, is definitely a little bit of a challenge. Okay, so I think that is the size we want to bring back. Okay, there we go. We can fill in this foundation. So this is the very basic shape, at least, that we want to bring out. Of course, we're going to add some details to make that nicer. Also, let's clear out this weather so it is all nice and shiny again. So I think let's see, we're probably gonna want to have a few towers here and there. So what about having a tower right there and having a tower right here? So just around the outsides of the main building, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. So kind of after 4 here, 4 there. We could have another little tower at the side, potentially. Because I think for this entrance, we kind of want to mimic a little bit more of a castle vibe. I think that's what we're going for. And then we'll add those in. I guess that's definitely not going to have anything special. We can add large walls right next to the gate, of course, to bring up to the right height. Let's open this for now so that we can more easily work with whatever is going to go on the inside here. And then, of course, we'll have some quarters and the shallow slope walls. We've made this shape a few times, but we'll definitely need it back here at the main entrance. And then get closed. Of course, this is also gonna look quite cool. Yeah, really, the gate skins definitely some of the best parts about the Lost Colony skins. Definitely. So I think then probably these is also what we want to raise up, just like that. And I think we probably want to make these towers just slightly higher than the main structure. I think that would look cool. And I think then we're just gonna have battlements right across the top here. Something is really going all out and yelling. I think a lot of creatures. Oh, there's a man as well. Everything's just getting stuck in my beautiful build. It's not what we want. Let's get these large walls on there. So yeah, these as well, we want to raise up 2 higher than the initial structure. There we go. And of course those towers will have like some nice windows along the side. I don't know if there's going to be a little functionality in there. Probably. Oh, what the hell happened there? Oh, they're fighting inside of those walls. That's weird. Yeah, we'll probably have at least a ladder going up, right? That makes sense. Okay, so for the rest of these structures, I guess right next to the tower, it makes sense to just be a wall. It makes sense to just be walls on those kind of corners. And I guess that also means over here. I guess, although these need to be open because that's where the entrance to those towers are going to be. There we go. So yeah, these of course are going to have some entrances to the towers themselves. And then in the middle of those, of course, we're going to have large walls. That is no issue. We can have doorways to each of these towers that we'll have. Very nice. And then I think to start with, we'll probably just have some lovely windows along the side. Awesome. Yeah, and again, of course, those window frames are then going to be Lost Colony, because that is just going to look very nice. And then we want to bring over some of our window skins. So the Castlecraft windows. Because even up here, I think we want to keep that thing going. Match the rest of the aesthetic, of course. Very nice. So that's going to be the big window. So yeah, it's going to be tower, 2 windows next to it. I feel like that's a pretty good look. Then we probably have some beams at the bottom here. We could have some more walls being built up here. There we go. Yeah, that's probably a good way to add some details to these. And then we're gonna kind of use one of the designs that we used on the other walls. So some of those fake windows, the Lost Colony windows. There we go. Because that will just kind of help fill up the rest of this wall. We do want to add, I guess, another layer on top of there. And even though I couldn't fit in a large wall there, I can still fit in some of the walls. And then once we've done that, it should allow us to at least add some railings on top of these walls. There we go. Yeah, that's going to be the side. That's going to be the front. Of course, can we continue these? Nope, not that one, because that's going to be part of that tower. And we can also continue this up here. I don't think there's going to be any that I can place. Let's place in all of these walls here. So yeah, on the side, we're going to have those pillars. And then, of course, the beams. Should look quite nice. And then we'll do the exact same thing as on the other side here. change these all to the window variant. Well, the fake window variant. There we go. And then on top, it's going to be the railings, which are going to be the battlements, of course. So that should all kind of line up. Then we just need to make the towers, and yeah, then we should get a little bit of a more like fortified castle-y look for this, which should be quite nice, I think, hopefully. We'll see. And yeah, should we, let's skin the main structure first so that we can kind of see the basics of that, and then we can work on the different towers, which are kind of going to be similar, I suppose. I guess we might as well skin that one on the inside. There we go, that's a full wall. We can already bring in that, of course. Yeah, I guess all of these large walls that are already placed, we might as well change the look of. Okay, this is where we need to open this again so that we can have these be changed to. There we go. We of course need a wall in there. And we can do this all over again for this side of the building. And then I guess the outside here of this tower we can do too. There we go. And then I'm not going to do the railings yet because it's easier if we paint those first. So let's start doing some of those paints now. There we go. And all the way across so that we have that layer covered. Then, of course, we can bring this up to the next layer. There we go. Very nice. It's starting to get transformed into the look we know. Let's actually go to the inside for this part. That's going to be a little bit easier, I think. There we go. Awesome. And then the final parts to paint for now. We can do the same over here. And then a few more to get all of this going. And again, we're just trying to build a nice entrance here for this side of the build. So we will also start painting these railings at the top. There we go. And then we can, of course, build or paint all of these. Awesome. So with that out of the way, if we now get the trim skin again, we should be able to get our battlements in here. There we go, which will help already get a little bit of the castle look in here. There we go. Looking quite nice. And of course the towers are really going to help transform this to a next level, I think. So let's see what we want to do with these. I think it makes most sense if one side doesn't have any windows. So this we can just kind of build all the way up. Then I think we want to have some of the tall windows on these sides. And then we probably want to have some normal walls again. Then we can have some windows again. And then I guess the final layers are just going to go up like that. And then at the very top, of course, we want to have the battlements, and we'll have, or well, actually a floor. And I guess in this case this is also where we would have some stairs up to it. I might even add those just in case, because yeah, might actually be something that we need. So yeah, that's not really looking like a tower too much now, of course, but it definitely will when we're done with it. So yeah, we want that one. I guess at the very end we want to have the large wall come up. We want to have the walls here at the bottom, the double windows, normal double walls, more windows, and then that should match up what we did on the other side. And then we can once again add in the floors here, so that will be another one of these towers. We can add in the tower itself, or the stairs to the tower itself. There we go. I guess, I mean, we do kind of need the railings, and then we need the railings on top of there, of course. But yeah, we also definitely want them along the sides of those. And then we want to add in some doors. There we go. Hello there, welcome back, welcome back. Yeah, so let's fill all of these windows in. Of course, once we start skinning them, that's all gonna make a lot more sense, but we'll first build up all of the different towers before we do any of those. I guess we kind of also want to build up that, because otherwise it doesn't make a lot of sense. So here we have actually a few different sides. I do think it's going to be easier to keep this the same for those. So I think on top of this we're just gonna build up that wall again, and then here at the front we're also just gonna have that wall, just so that we can match the other side. It's going to be a bit easier. There we go. And then of course we want to raise up these all the way. We can have basically the same pattern, I think, for all of the rest of the walls. I think that makes the most sense to kind of just follow along with the same pattern. So that would be one tower. And then this is going to be another. Oh god. Please place. And then finally those walls up here. Let's also add in the windows right away. There we go. Then, of course, we can add in the ceilings at the top. And then probably one of these ceilings we actually would remove to add in the ladder so that you can get up and down, of course. But I don't think we'll bother about those right at this moment. And technically, you wouldn't have to add the ladder in every tower because I doubt you're going to use all of these towers to get up and down. So, yeah, really you only need it in one spot. Or maybe not even if you're just going to fly up here anyway, like you might do. So, yes, we will add the sides to these stairs. And I guess we probably also want to have the railings. I think actually the stairs and the railings of this side at least is going to be all of the Gothic skins. There we go. So yeah, that would be all of the little towers for this section, at least for this layer. So let's see what that is going to look like. So we'll copy this one first on top of these windows. And of course we're going to do that all the way around for all of the windows that we have. Actually, let's not forget there's multiple layers of windows. There we go. Of course, we're going to have to change some of the variants to make it all work, but it's a start. Gonna get some more of the stained glass windows in here. There we go. And finally, so yeah, now we should be able to cycle the variants, and then we can add the nice curves to the top layer of these windows. There we go. We can have a few more of those, and then at least all the windows are in place. Yeah, having some flags and stuff on the wall is gonna look even nicer, of course. Then we can kind of just go around and also change the rest of these wall variants, which should go quite quickly. There we go. Just fill in the missing gaps. Awesome. There we go. And that should be all of the walls of the towers. And then finally we want to grab the trim skin again and add them here on top of these. So we can add some extra battlements here. I guess I should have really painted the railings first to make it easier for myself. But that is looking like a small little fortress now. Okay, well, I guess we better start painting up these walls, kind of just going up from the bottom to the top. And if we look straight at the middle of all of these, we should get it right. There we go. Also, let's not forget about those, because that needs to be also a wall skin. And what about, I think those sides probably just need to be the same. Let's just paint all of those up. And then let's remember that we need to skin all of those still. Okay, so then if I look at the middle here, don't look too high for those railings, I suppose. There we go. Nice, so that's one tower. And then another tower, and then we'll just keep doing all of these until they're all looking nice. There we go. Awesome. Yeah, that definitely is giving some nice castle vibes for this entrance. There we are. And another wall all the way up to the top. There we go. Awesome. We're slowly but surely getting to the phase where we have this entrance painted up. And we're getting also closer to actually having the whole build done. Imagine that. There we go. So that is a pretty good start, I would say. Then we want to still copy some of these over, of course, to the ones that we forgot to do. Oh, and we definitely also want to paint those sides. And then we want to very carefully not do that. I said very carefully. Yeah. Well, there's already one wall that we need to fix. Let's see how many we can do without messing it up. Awesome. There we go. Yeah, that's definitely going to help to transform these windows. Oh, no. That's another wall messed up. But that's only 2 so far. That's not too bad. There I think I'm getting to know... Oh, shouldn't have said anything. Yeah, it's higher on that one than you think. Okay, well, it wasn't too bad. Only a few... Oh, no, that's the wrong color. At least repainting the walls isn't too difficult. There we go. We're getting closer to having this entrance looking like a nice, worthy entrance for this base. So, first of all, I think at the top of these towers, we can just use the Lost Colony skins too. There we go. Yeah, one of the towers is definitely also going to be the entrance. So for the rest of this, we can just make sure that we have the ceilings in place. There we go. And then a bunch of ceilings to make sure that this is all covered. There we are. Just a few more ceilings. I've got a lot of ceilings and foundation stills to skin, but, you know, that's not going to be the hardest job, so I don't think we need to do that now. And then I think what we'll do is, since we have been talking about a tribe tower, we could add one here. Which should hopefully be able to line up quite nicely here. Somewhat in the middle. Let's see. I guess this would be the middle of... And then it's still gonna fit, because otherwise, of course, we can't go too close to the building because it won't let me place it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a single ceiling that we want. Because that's where we can snap the tribe tower to. And that should mean it's kind of perfectly in the middle, which it seems to be. That of course doesn't look great. So what we want to do, we want to have the utility. Can we copy that somewhere? Have I used some castle crafts decor somewhere or utility? Yes, I have on these utility skins. So hopefully if I go here, we can then make this look like a tower, and it will actually stick through. But I think there's now a variant with no foundation, and there we go. That is gonna fit in quite nicely. That's gonna add us an extra tower up there. And I think for the sake of structures, we're not gonna add too much more than this, because otherwise it's just gonna be way too much. But we can make that match. And if we add some tributes, that's going to light a nice fire. And that's just going to have a little fortress at the entrance here. And then I guess if we wanted to, maybe not for all of these, but for some, we could perhaps add a little bit of a roof. Maybe only for the ones here at the side. There we go. We can have those pillars go up, and we'll have some little roofs just to add a bit more. There we go. That would be the roof, of course, that we can add on top of those. And I guess if we wanted to add anything, it would have to be like this. Which we can do. Just to make it slightly stand out more. And then we can have a few more of the Lost Colony skins. There we go. And you could add some pillars on top, of course, if you want to make those stand apart a little bit more. But yeah, just adds a little bit of snow, I guess. Mostly snow is what we'll see. But yeah. There we go. I think that is oh, hello there. Yeah, I think that is what we'll use for this entrance. A little bit more of a castle-y vibe, but I think that fits the whole theme. And then in general, I mean, except for this wall, of course, but I just need to replicate what we have on the other side. But since we already have such a long stream, I think that is going to be where we leave it. Let's see if we actually did do everything. I am pretty sure that we did. So let's have a good look around what we've done. We've got the crafting hall over here. We have the breeding hall with the greenhouse on top. We have the giant staircase tower, which that honestly, it does look quite nice that it's fully filled in. So if you wanted to, of course, you could replicate that on both sides. Yeah, I mean, that would not be possible on official for sure. But yeah, that would definitely be an option if you want an insanely big base. And then we have a little castle-y entrance here on this side, which I think is also quite nice indeed. And that makes for a pretty nice base. I do need to paint some more windows there. It's fine. It is totally fine. We have rebuilt this Gothic tower as a proper Gothic castle outpost. And I think it turned out pretty cool indeed. So, yeah, that's been one hell of a build project, but we've managed to turn it into something quite cool, I think. Yeah, I like how this side, it kind of just blends in the rebuild, which is perfect, of course. That's what you want. So, yeah, I think that is going to be the whole rebuild. As I said, I'll probably try to edit these streams together as some kind of how to build, but of course you can always watch the streams back on YouTube already if you want to start building right away, I suppose, if you don't want to wait, because it's easier, of course, if you watch it back and you pause whenever you're working on trying to follow along. And then we'll have a proper tour of it fully decorated once I've managed to do that. But I think this is a pretty good start, so hopefully you guys you enjoyed that. I think it was a pretty cool project, and I'm happy that we managed to finish it in a decent time, so that there's plenty of more future projects that we can take on. Also, let's take away the little tryouts that we had for the different options, the different like glass and wall options that we used for this build. But yeah, I think we got quite a nice thing going here. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like if you're on YouTube, subscribe, of course, or follow. And then hopefully I'll see you again in the next video or the next stream. For now, it's going to be it for me for today. I'll see you soon in another video on another stream. Goodbye.